Hello everyone, welcome to episode 9 of Flashback Royal Rumble. This time around we'll be reviewing the 1996 Royal Rumble event, and here we go. Overall it was a decent show. I liked it pretty fondly. Let's go ahead and kick things off at the beginning. The opening match was Ahmed Johnson taking on Jeff Jarrett, and this was I believe the third pay-per-view event for Ahmed Johnson, and this was the start of his WWF career. And I remember how he was being pushed as his monster face, and it seems that the sky was definitely the limit for Ahmed Johnson. And I gotta say, it looked pretty good. I mean, he had a good look. He had this pretty good aura about him that apparently Vince saw and wanted to push him into the moon to possibly the championship belts, which he would get later on in 1996. But of course, that didn't really come to fruition. That monster push didn't really end as well, and I'll get to that in the next review. But anyway, there's one thing I didn't get about this match. It ended in a disqualification with Jarrett getting disqualified and Ahmed getting the win. Now, this is what I didn't get. This was when Jeff Jarrett was about to leave the WWF and jump to WCW. Now, if Vince knew that Jeff was leaving, wouldn't it make more sense than to put your monster face over by having the guy that's going to leave your company and cleanly? That just seemed like a no-brainer, but I don't know why it happened, but to me it should have happened, but it didn't, and we'll move on. Another thing that I would like to mention was the Intercontinental Championship match between Goldust and Razor Ramon. And of course it ended with Goldust becoming the new Intercontinental Champion, and I could see how some would see this as a upset of sorts, because Goldust, at this point, Goldust was just seen as a novelty act, not taken that seriously. He was a very controversial act, and I'm sure a lot of people didn't really picture him as championship material. But the trigger was pulled, and Goldust walked away the Intercontinental Champion. There have been stories on how Scott Hall was very reluctant to play his ankle with Goldust, given his character. Scott Hall has said that he was willing to drop the belt to Goldust, but he didn't want to work with him based on this angle. And he also said that was one of the few times that he ever disagreed with Vince about anything. But he did end up dropping the belt to Goldust, and Goldust would have a pretty auspicious, I guess that's the word for it, auspicious Intercontinental title reign. Now we move on to the Royal Rumble match. To me, this was better than the Royal Rumble last year. We saw the WWF debut of Big Van Vader, or the Mastodon, as he was called. A lot of people say that Vader was a flop. I didn't really think that he was a flop. I think he was very underused. He was very misused, and he could have been used a lot better than he did in his stint in WWF, but that's either here or there. We also saw the return of Jake the Snake Roberts, who found religion, found Christianity, had his Yellow Snake revelations with him, and thus also here he would start his feud with Jerry the King Lawler. And of course we all know what happened in 1996 with Jake the Snake Roberts, with him and Stone Cold Steve Austin, the whole Austin 3:16 thing. But it was good to see Jake the Snake Roberts back again in a WWF ring. I also want to point out in this match the impressive showing of one Hunter Hearst Helmsley. He came in at number 1 and lasted about 45-46 minutes, and definitely showed that he had some talent to be a future megastar. Now apparently this was supposed to be the year of Hunter. You know, he was slated to win the King of the Ring that year in 96, but of course thanks to a certain curtain call, that didn't happen, and the honor of that year went to Stone Cold Steve Austin, who also made his debut here as the Ringmaster. Of course, at this time, Austin was the prodigy of Ted DiBiase. He was the next holder of the $1 Million Championship belt, and of course we all know the Ringmaster didn't really go anywhere, and thankfully Austin saw that and decided to change his persona. Now we have the great Austin, the great Stone Cold Steve Austin we know and love today. The match ended with Shawn Michaels winning his second Royal Rumble in a year, and now going off to WrestleMania 12 to the WWF Championship match, and what was, to me, a very great WrestleMania Classic, but we'll save that for later. To me, Shawn Michaels winning this one was more impressive than his win last year. I mean, again, the last year in '95 was not that good at all. And this Rumble match was way better than the one last year, and definitely it made Shawn's win that more memorable and that more important. So Shawn Michaels wins the 1996 Royal Rumble and goes on to face the WWF Champion. The main event of the 1996 Royal Rumble was the WWF Championship match between Bret Hart and The Undertaker. This wouldn't be the last time Undertaker and Bret Hart would face each other, and to me they would have way better matches later on in their careers, but for this one it didn't really match up to any of their other matches, but for what it was okay. Diesel getting involved kind of ruined it pretty much for me. As you know, Diesel felt screwed not getting a championship match, and so he decided to screw Undertaker, and then that started the whole Undertaker Kevin Nash feud that would culminate at WrestleMania 12, and of course we all know what happened there. But anyway, overall the 1996 Royal Rumble was pretty good. To me, the Rumble match was way better than the 1995 affair, and Shawn Michaels winning seemed more important than last year's. So overall, decent show, and that'll do it here. Feel free to leave a comment, subscribe to my channel. You can follow me on Twitter at JJMWWE89, and until we meet again, take care, y'all.